Alright guys, today's lesson involves the area and circumference of circles and using the formulas for that to find out various data on circles. Okay, so the first thing you have to understand is what a radius is. And the radius, and you probably heard this before, but the radius of a circle is the distance from the center to the edge of the circle. Okay, so here I have a circle with a radius of 3. Here's my center, and here is the radius. It is a 3-foot radius. I can tell it's feet because of this little symbol right here. Alright, now the actual area of a circle is the space inside the circle. Okay, and it's represented by the formula area is equal to pi r squared. Okay, so once we have the radius, we can find the area by plugging it into that formula and solving. Okay. The next thing we have to know is circumference. Okay. Circumference is the distance around a circle. And the formula for circumference is equal to 2 times pi times r. You notice that both of these formulas have the special symbol for pi in it because we're using pi. Remember, there's no exact number for pi. It's an infinitesimal decimal. Okay, so for this purpose, we're going to leave it as pi, or for the purposes of these two formulas, we're going to leave it as pi as much as we can, because we're interested in exact answers, and since pi is not an exact number, we represent it with that symbol. Okay, so the next thing you have to know is that the diameter is the distance across the circle through the center. Okay, so if I wanted to extend this to be a diameter, I would take it from my center and just extend my radius out to the other side of the circle. So this whole thing is my diameter. Okay, and here's my circumference. Circumference, I don't know, that was, I'm sorry, here's my area, it's in green. Okay, and then circumference I did also in blue, so let's go around it again. Circumference. Alright, so to actually calculate these things, I'm going to use my formulas. Okay, so find the area. Well, let's find the diameter first. Okay, so since my radius, the formula for diameter is just 2 times the radius because it just extended it to the other side of the circle. So technically this is 2 distances from the center to the edge of the circle. So that's why the formula is 2 times the radius. Okay, so find my diameter. We get 2 times 3 is equal to 6 feet. Okay, now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and find my area. And that's equal to pi r squared. But I'm going to plug and chug. So plug in the radius that I have into my formula. So I'm going to plug in 3 into the formula and evaluate. Okay, Now pi is not an exact number, so I'm going to leave that as a symbol. So no matter what happens, I'm going to leave pi as it is. Okay, and then I need 3 squared is 9. So my area is equal to 9 pi. Okay, now since I want exact answers, I can leave it like this, as 9 pi. Sometimes they will ask you to evaluate that, and what you do is plug it into your calculator. There's a symbol for pi, and you just multiply that times 9, and that would give you an approximate area. Remember, this is approximate because we have to round. So this is exact, and this is what we're going to be working with today. Okay. Alright, the last is to find the circumference. Okay, so my circumference formula is 2 times pi times r, so I'll write that out and replace the r with my radius, which is 3. Okay, so simplify as much as I can. Again, I can't simplify the pi, so I'm going to leave that as it is and just multiply any of the numbers. So I've got 2 times 3, so my circumference is 6 pi. And just like with the area, that is an exact answer because we're not rounding. Pi is representative of all of the whole thing. Okay, alright, so I've got a few examples I want to go over with you, and we'll be done. Alright, the first one says calculate the circumference and area of the circle. Okay, so given me a circle, and this is the diameter, right? This goes through the center, and it tells me that my diameter is equal to 26 centimeters. Well, in order to use my two equations, I'm going to have to find the radius. And because the diameter is 2 times the radius, I can solve just by plugging in 26 for the diameter into my formula. So I get 26 is equal to 2 times r, divide both sides by 2, 13 is my radius. Okay, and then I need to find the area. Okay, so remember my area formula is pi r squared. Okay, now that I've got my radius, I'm going to plug that in. So area is equal to pi times 13 squared, and then simplify. So area is equal to pi times 169. Remember, I keep pi because it's exact, and I don't need to figure out what the decimal answer is for that. This is my final answer. Area is equal to 169 pi. Alright, and last but not least, to find circumference, I'm going to plug that same radius into my circumference formula, which is 2 pi r. Okay, so we get 2 times pi times 13. And simplify as much as I can. 2 times 13 is 26, and I leave the pi. Alright, it says calculate the radius of a circle with an area of 24 pi. Okay, so I'm going to use my area formula. Area is equal to pi r squared, and then I'm going to use that to calculate my radius. Okay, so it says the area is 24, so I'm going to plug that in for area. So get 24 pi equals pi times r squared. Okay. Now, in order to solve for r, I need to get r by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by pi. And when I do that, these pi's cancel out and they become 1. These pi's cancel out and become 1. So I get 24 is equal to r squared. Take the square root of both sides. And since the square root of 24 is not a perfect, I'm going to leave it as square root of 24 is my radius. Okay. Pause the video for a second. I want you to read example C and try that on your own, and then we'll go over it. Okay, so example C says calculate the diameter of a circle with a circumference of 12. Okay, so we know that the circumference formula is 2 pi r. And it's telling me that my circumference is equal to 12. So I'm going to plug that in for circumference, and again, solve for my radius, because once I have the radius, I can find the diameter. Okay, so I get 12 is equal to 2 pi r. To get r by itself, I need to divide both sides by 2, but also I have to get rid of the pi, so 2 pi. That drops out both of them. Now the problem here is that 12 divided by 2 is 6, but I can't divide 12 by pi, so I'm going to leave that on the bottom. Okay, so 6 over pi is my radius, and I'm going to use my diameter formula. Diameter is equal to 2 times the radius in order to solve for the diameter. Okay, so plug back in the 6 over pi. Get diameter is equal to 2 times 6 over pi. Okay. I multiply across the top and across the bottom, because technically I can write this as 2 over 1. So multiply across, I get 12. 1 times pi is just pi, so my diameter is 12 over pi units, just in case they don't give you one. Okay, so that's my final answer. Okay, compare that to what you got. Alright, last one, it says calculate the area and circumference. And again, I've been given a diameter. This time it's got a decimal. I'm going to treat that the same way. Okay, so diameter is equal to 2 times the radius. I'm going to plug in the diameter that they've given me, which is 16.8. Divide both sides by 2. 8.4 is equal to the radius. And then, since I now have the radius, I can plug that into my area formula and circumference formula. So I get area is equal to pi times 8.4 squared. Okay, so square the 8.4. Remember, we don't touch the pi, so keep it as pi. 8.4 squared. Just give me 1 second. Is 70.56. I'm going to round that up to the nearest, well, nope, I need to be exact, so I'm going to keep it the same, 70.56 pi. Okay, then last, find the circumference. So C is equal to 2 pi r. So we get 2 times pi, my radius is 16.8. I'm sorry, my radius is 8.4. Plug that in. 2 times 8.4 is 16.8 pi. And my units, centimeters squared for area, and just centimeters for circumference. Because remember, circumference is just the distance around the circle. Alright. So, once you're done with this video, go ask the sub for the assignment for today, and make sure you have both of these things done for tomorrow, because I will be checking both. Have a great day, everyone.